I'm happy to be joined once again by the Phenom, Tom Pagliarulo, current amateur featherweight NEF champion, looking to add another belt to his mantle on November the 23rd when he takes on Brandon Gibbs for Combat Zone. Tom, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. It's nice to see you again. Last time I spoke with you was after you captured the belt up in Orono, beating Jimmy Jackson. What has life been like since? I know you're busy in school. Has it been a tough juggling act trying to keep up with training and do all the things you need to do?
It's the same old routine, man. Just right back to training. I was in the gym that Monday after that fight. I knew I wanted to fight again soon. I just didn't know when. So Combat Zone gave me the opportunity. So I've just been in camp since that fight, and just same old thing, doing school, training. I'm used to it now, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that you jumped right back in camp with how much this sport means to you and what you want to accomplish. I saw a picture fairly recently of you and Nick Diaz. How did that come about? I know you went out to the West Coast to train with him. Tell me how that happened and what the experience was like.
He actually came here. He was in New York for his brother's fight, and he never ended up going home. He kind of made a little vacation out of it with one of his buddies, AJ. I don't know how to say his last name, but real good jiu-jitsu guy, D1 wrestler, and they were looking to do a seminar around the area. So Nate Lamont, my coach at Burgess, got in touch with them and had them come down to the gym, and we did a little jiu-jitsu seminar and just talked, man, and got some real good just life lessons and advice from him. So it was a cool opportunity. You don't come across those opportunities very often. So to pick his brain a little bit and work with him was awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. I don't know why I got confused. I thought for some reason you went out to the West Coast, but it makes sense that he was up here because obviously his brother Nate fought for the BMF title. I'd like to get your thoughts just on that stoppage because, for me personally, if you're going to have a BMF title, stopping the fight, especially with the Diaz brother who has scar tissue, who comes on strong later in the rounds, and who's just as tough as they come in general, it bothered me that it was stopped. Obviously, fighter safety is always first, but what was your overall assessment of that stoppage? Did you agree with it?
It's tough, man. It's tough when you're not in there and you can't really see what's going on. Like you said, it's the BMF belt, so it's kind of crappy to see it go down like that. But I don't know. I saw some pictures of the cut after, and it looked pretty bad. But he's been there before. You know what I mean? That's nothing new to Nate Diaz, but maybe something new to that doctor. You just don't know. But Jorge was putting it on him. People say they think Nate was starting to come back. He is a late starter, but I mean Jorge doesn't gas out. He was putting it on him, I think, all through those rounds. So it would have been interesting to see, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, Masvidal looked amazing. He was clearly winning that fight. He was up 3 rounds to nothing, no doubt about it. And most people believe that he probably would have just kept the momentum rolling into the fourth and fifth. But that's why they fight. You never know. So it's tough to see the fight stopped. But tip your cap to him. And who knows? Maybe that fight will be made again. Did you get to talk to Nick at all about what he wants to do? Because he made it clear he's upset that, Masvidal went in and put a beat down on his younger brother, and he wants to fight for that BMF belt. He feels like he's the true BMF. Did he tell you anything about that?
A little bit. I know he wants to fight. I know he wants to fight Jorge. So I think the ball is in their court and the UFC's court. So what happens, happens. I look forward to seeing him step back in there, man. I've always been a huge fan. That's one of the guys I've looked up to when I got into the sport. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Did he seem, I guess, rather like with it and like he was in shape and he could step in and take a fight? Because a lot of people are saying after the interview with Ariel Helwani that maybe he, wasn't himself, or maybe he's not like in the right space mentally. Did you get that at all from him?
I think he's just Nick Diaz. He's kind of just doing his thing. Obviously, if he's gonna fight, your whole life has to change back to training every day and making the right choices. But I was with him for a night. I can't judge what he's been doing. I don't know what he's been doing. But like I said, I had a real good conversation with him. He seems motivated and ready to do what he needs to do to get back in there.
Yeah, very cool. I'd love to see him step back in there. I've always been a big fan of both the Diaz brothers. I love just everything about the way that they approach the fight game. So hopefully we do see him back in there. I also like to get your thoughts on the Calvin Kattar Zabit fight. I really felt like Calvin was starting to pick up the momentum in that third round. I wish the fight would have been a 5-round fight. Did you feel the same way? And have you had a chance to talk to Calvin afterwards? I'm sure you have, since you're fighting for his promotion coming up here in a week.
Yeah, he's one of my main training partners, so I've been with him. I actually saw him last Thursday, yesterday. I was with him. So he's doing good, man. He just wants to get back in there. You know, it's tough. It's 3 rounds like that. When you're kind of Calvin, I wouldn't say is a late starter, but he was starting to pick it up. And when you don't have those extra 2 rounds, man, it's tough, and that's just how it goes sometimes. I know people keep saying, everyone's saying 2 more rounds, you would have had him. When I talked to him, man, I kind of knew he was going to say this, but he said I should have done it in 3, and that's just his mentality. And like I said in an interview yesterday, that's kind of how our team thinks. We deal with what we're handed, and we got to make the most of that. So it was a good fight, man. That's as tough as it gets right there in the division. I think Calvin really showed the world that Zabit's really just a lot of flash, and if you can shut that down, man, there's really not much else to give. I don't think the guy's built for title fights. He's not built for 5 rounds. Calvin is, and that's what you want to be built for in the sport. So that's not the end of Calvin Kattar. There's nothing to really lose from that fight. His stock's not going to go down. It's only going up. He's still the number 11 guy in the world. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for that guy. He's back in the gym working already, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He really is one of the best in the division. I'm sure this will only motivate him moving forward. What does it mean to you to have a training partner like Calvin and to be able to compete and fight in a main event for his promotion in the state that you go to school at? I mean, it's got to be pretty special to you.
Yeah, man. I'm grateful. Just to be able to work with those guys, it's a whole different look than what you get anywhere else. Just their approach to the game and how they go about it. I soak it in every day. Just ask questions, learn, and I'm kind of used to it now because we've been doing it since the summer, really, and I've been working with Rob since like last March. So I just show up every day and get better from it, man. And as far as fighting for him, Combat Zone's kind of home for me. That's where it all started for me. So I'm happy to be back there and fighting in that main event spot for a chance at the belt, man. And I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into that in a minute, but I gotta mention Rob, since you just talked about him a little bit. He finally has a fight, and it's too bad he never got on that Boston card. I know a lot of people were pretty upset about that, but he's got a tough opponent. Ricky Simone is very good. Are you seeing a more angry, motivated Rob Font in camp because he's been, I guess, out of action for so long?
Listen, man, I've been taking all the beatings that these other guys are supposed to be getting. So he's ready, man. He's been ready. He's always ready. He works harder than anyone I know. His approach is he doesn't do a camp. He's just always training. He's always ready. That's kind of worn off on me too. That's why I rolled right into this next fight. We're just treat it like a full-time job, man. Always ready. But yeah, he's gonna go in there and do his thing for sure. I know last time we spoke, you were asking about after my last fight. We had actually already known he wasn't fighting. We knew Calvin was fighting in Moscow, but can only say so much. So that was killing me when you were asking those questions. I was like, oh man, this is probably killing him. But he's itching to get in there. It's kind of stinks that it's not a ranked opponent, but it is what it is, man. He's gonna go in there. Whoever they put in front of him, he's gonna knock him out. I know he is. He's gonna go in there, do his thing, and the top can only run for so long from him, and he'll get him early next year.
Yeah, it was definitely a pleasure meeting the both of you guys up there in Orono. I mean, what a class act the both of you are. Can't wait to see you step back in the cage. Same thing with Rob. Bright future for the both of you. Let's talk a little bit, I guess, about this upcoming fight because, as you mentioned, Combat Zone, you go to school right in New Hampshire. How far is the venue from where you go to school?
It's about 50 minutes. So I actually train right across the street at Burgess MMA. So I'll be home in Haverhill midway through this week. I always do that fight week when I'm in school. I take half the week off and just to be home and make sure my mind's only focused on the fight. And so it's still only like 30 minutes from Haverhill for me. So it's nice, man. I get to do my morning shakeout in my home gym, my boxing gym, and just get ready to go. I'm comfortable here. I'm used to this routine fighting for them, and there's really nothing to be nervous about. I know I'm prepared. I'm gonna go in and get it done.
Are there a lot of college students that are going to be making the trip down to the venue to watch you fight?
Yeah. There's a few, man. I told them, everyone's asking me, when can I see you fight? 'Cause it's always been far in Maine. So I told them this might be one of the last times they see me fight in college. I gotta see what's going on after this. I gotta finish up school. It's my last year. So told them if they want to see me, now is the time before I start traveling around and they can't see it anymore.
As your popularity is growing here in the New England area, are you noticing that you're becoming a sort of a celebrity around campus? Are people like noticing you, want to be like, hey, Tom, come get a picture with me, that kind of thing?
It's funny you mentioned that, man. Rob always kind of gives me the big brother talk about these kinds of things, and he says he notices it. I don't notice it as much, but he says he notices it, just the way people will talk to me differently. Even my own friends, he's like they start talking to you differently. I don't really embrace that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm still the same old Tom. I'm just fighting, and that's what I'm just gonna keep doing, is just winning fights, and this is my life now, and it is what it is. I'm still an amateur fighter. I'm not a Conor McGregor or anything. So I mean, yeah, it's nice to have people kind of know your name now, because it gets around through fighting. But my focus is just to keep training hard and showing up and win some fights.
Now, Thanksgiving is right after your fight, and I know you're coming up to weight cut week. So talking about food might make you angry. I apologize if that's the case. But what are you most looking forward to like devouring the week after this fight, Thanksgiving? Is there something that you're just waiting for to just dive into and demolish come Thanksgiving?
Man, my weight cuts aren't too bad. I always we do it right. I'm not even at that point yet where I'm craving this or that. To be honest, we do it so I'm eating right up until weigh-ins, pretty much. I won't. I'm never really depleted like that. That's how Rob does his cuts too. We just kind of plan it out right, and we're never starving ourselves. That's kind of the wrestling approach. And I've been in both worlds there, and seeing how I did it for wrestling, man, it's just so wrong how we do it in that sport. And I wish I had the knowledge I have now when I was a wrestler. I do it completely different. But I'm definitely looking forward to eating and letting that diet be a little looser after this fight. But I'll be right back in the gym after this one, man. Rob's got his fight, so got to be helping him out. And we'll see, man. Yeah, it'll be good to get it out before the holidays.
When you were wrestling, did you do like intermittent fasting, or what would you do to get down to make weight? Would you just starve yourself?
I did all kinds of things, my man. So my senior year of high school, I wrestled 126. I was about the same height I am now. I was walking around at 146, so it was a big cut. And people forget in wrestling, you're making weight twice a week for 5 months. So every Wednesday, Saturday, yeah, you're starving yourself. You're really eating like how I was doing it. I was eating like one meal a day, dehydrated all the time. It drove me insane, man. I really blame the weight cutting for how I perform in the postseason. I'd be top 3 wrestler in the state all year. I finished third in the state, but I think I should have been a state champ more than once, and I'd just be so depleted by the end of the season from just beating my body down and being almost 6 feet tall and 126 pounds. I had no business being there. So, like I said, if I could go back and not worry so much about cutting weight and just wrestling and getting better, I think I would have done a lot more. But that's the approach I'm taking to fighting now. So it's paying off.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Let's talk about your opponent, Brandon Gibbs. He's 4-1. All 4 of his victories are by way of guillotine choke. The one loss that you have, you were guillotine choked. Is this kind of a really stylistically interesting fight for you, or do you feel like this is something where you want to try to go to the ground and prove something to yourself, or does that not really factor in at this point?
That loss was my second fight of my career. And I had said before, I was really just a wrestler at the time. I didn't really have much of anything going for me. Then I'd go in and take people down and beat them up on the ground. That was 2 years ago. I'm a whole different fighter now. Wherever this fight goes, man, I'm down for it. On the feet, on the ground. I'm gonna put him out on the feet. I'm gonna put him out on the ground. So whatever happens, happens. I'm pumped for it, man. That's one of the main reasons I took this fight is all his wins are guillotine. That's my one loss. It's kind of a chance to show, look, like this isn't gonna happen again. You know, I've drilled that scenario 1,000 times. That after I lost that fight, that little fire in me, and I think that's the best thing that ever happened to me was losing early in my career like that, because it showed me anyone can be beat. You know, and all it takes is one little mistake. It was a fight I was winning, and it just takes one little mistake, and it can be over like that. So now there's no room for mistakes, and I won't be making any on this fight, man. I'm ready for wherever it goes.
Do you think Brandon's going to do everything he can to get this to the ground? Because obviously it seems just by his record that would be his best chance of finishing you or getting a win is to get your back, because that's how he's gotten all his victories. Do you think that's what he's going to try and implement here come fight night?
We'll see, man. You know, we've done our homework and watched our film. The way he gets these chokes is just amateur rookie mistakes that I'm not gonna make. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a game competitor. Clearly, he's got a decent guillotine and some decent jiu-jitsu, but you know, I'm not gonna open myself up for those mistakes. I see a lot of holes in his game. And I'm just gonna show all those and show him on a different level than him, man. He's 4-1. I'm 4-1, but there's a difference in, I think, the competition we've both faced, and I'm gonna show that it's just a little different level down here than up in Vermont.
Nice. Well, I love the confidence, but it's a very humble confidence, as always, coming from you. What would you like next after this? Are you going to take a little time off, kind of rest, rehydrate, eat what you want throughout the holidays, then maybe fight early 2020? What is your mindset?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely going to take a little time after this fight. I'm still going to be training. My main focus is to really put on some size after this fight. I'm going to be working with the new strength and conditioning coach, Mike Perry, and that's really the goal, is to put on some weight and really fill out for the featherweight weight class. So I won't be fighting after this until maybe later in 2020. We'll see. AME's are pro. There's probably a couple more AME fights in me. And then we'll see what happens, man. When my coaches tell me I'm ready, we'll start the pro ranks and see what we can do there. But I'm excited, man. I'm taking them one at a time, and the next one's the most important. So I'm ready for next week, and that's where my focus is at.
I'm assuming that you're not really thinking about Matt Brady, that one loss that you had. You've evolved. You're kind of past that at this point. But what about defending your NEF featherweight belt? Is there someone that comes to mind, or what do you think about Zach Richard? Because you did beat him via unanimous decision, but he just won the 155-pound belt. Did you see that fight? And is that something that you'd be interested in rematching if NEF wants to make it?
Yeah, I saw the fight. It was definitely a decent little scrap. We'll see, man. Fights like that, amateurs about fighting different guys. You know, I've been training with Zach since that fight, actually. So we'll see. I don't plan on going up to 55. Like I said, I'm still trying to fill out for 45. I'll defend my belt against whoever, though. It's definitely something I want to do one more time. I love fighting for NEF. They're a great promotion. I've actually been talking to Matt throughout this whole camp, and staying in touch with him and making sure I keep that relationship going. And I'll be back for them. It's just gonna take a little time after this one, and then we'll see what happens, man.
Very cool. Well, always a pleasure talking to you, champ. Before I let you go, anyone you want to thank or any sponsors you have, as always, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man. Just my teams: Haverhill Inner City Boxing, Lausanne's MMA, Burgess MMA. My coaches: Rob Font, Tyson Chartier, Nate Lamott, Sean Farley. Sean's been a big addition to this camp. I want to give him a big special shout out. He hopped on this past camp, and he's my boxing coach, and I think he's the best in the area. Rob will tell you he's the best boxing coach in the area. He's kind of our secret gem. So big shout out to him. Yeah, and all my sponsors for helping me keep this dream going and supporting me, my family, my friends, my girlfriend, everyone, man. I can't do this without them. I got a small little team, but we're doing some big things, and I'm grateful for it. I look forward to putting on a show for you all next week.
Always a pleasure, man. Go get that second belt, and we'll be talking soon.
Sounds good, my man.